What's up, folks? Welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I am joined with none other than Benjamin Diggles, who is one of the founders of Constellation, which is a cryptocurrency blockchain, correct? Am I saying all this correctly?
Sort of, yeah. But we have a cryptocurrency on our blockchain, but there's a lot more to cover there. But yeah, you're on mark, buddy. And thanks for
Okay,
having me.
so yeah, absolutely, Benjamin. So I dabble with some cryptocurrencies and I really don't know much about it, right? But I've been told to get XRP, Bitcoin, Doge, things like that. And it's like gambling to me. I'm just kind of I'm diversifying, throwing my money in different stuff. What, let's just start from there. Okay. So first of all, what is Constellation? What is this?
What is this? Yeah, well, first off,
Yeah, I,
I appreciate you having me here, and I appreciate your honesty as well. Some of this stuff is rather esoteric. It's not even rather esoteric. It's very esoteric, very confusing, right? So Constellation is a blockchain ecosystem. And what that means is that we have our own set of developer tools, really end to end, that represent a Web3 or blockchain business. So we have our own homegrown blockchain decentralized network. We're not built on top of Ethereum or Bitcoin or anything else. We're our own soup to nuts blockchain. We also have a wallet that people can download and exchange cryptocurrencies even beyond our own on that wallet. We have a blockchain explorer that shows all the transactions of what's taken place. We're about to launch our own decentralized exchange. We have a sensor technology. So the point is that we really wanted to build an ecosystem of developer tools to allow people to build their own blockchains, mint their own cryptocurrencies, and validate their own data types. And I will mention one thing there that sort of separates us is that we're the blockchain for big data. If there's anything you remember, that's what you want to remember about Constellation, is that we believe that, with the legacy or the existing world we live in, data is absolutely paramount. And even in digital transfers of digital currency, that's just a data type. And so we thought, what if we made a blockchain around these complex data management solutions to validate data at the source, to provide evidence and transparency and resilient attribution around these applications that use data in the real world. So
and
hopefully
data is the future. I mean, it's more valuable than oil and everything, correct?
I mean, that's the way we see it. I mean, the numbers don't lie, right? Like the only reason AI is working is because of data. And what do they want is more data. I mean, generative AI with Google uses 17 times the power than a regular Google search. So it just shows you how data is extremely valuable right now.
So are you guys the first ones to be doing this coming out of the gate like this with data using data? Is that how
To our
this works?
knowledge, I mean, I don't want to be a know-it-all. I'm sure there's small pockets of companies out there doing some stuff, but from a holistic, like big blockchain approach and us launching in 2017, roughly 8 years ago, I believe we're one of the few that have really taken this on.
Because I've heard, everyone's telling me, "Oh, no, 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 get Bitcoin. You got to do Bitcoin. You got to get with Bitcoin. Get with Ethereum. Get on XRP. It's a stable coin." I don't know what any of this shit means. I'm just going with it, going, okay, right, that sounds good. You're telling me that's the future, all right. So now I'm being told consolation by a bunch of people, and I'm like, wait, this is just getting out of hand.
Yeah,
Like,
buddy,
what
I'll
do I
tell you
do
what.
here?
Yeah, there's millions of cryptocurrencies out there, and everyone's like, "Oh, check out this token. Look at this," and
Yeah,
it's
I mean, dude, there's
confusing,
so
right?
many.
Yeah, yeah, and I
So
totally
what do
get
we
it.
do? What do we do? Like, what is there going to be one that stands alone, or are we just going to be all over the place with this stuff?
No, I think we're going to be a little bit all over the place with this stuff. Sort of how there's not one search engine to rule them all, right? There's not one cloud
Right,
provider
right.
to rule them all. Like there's going to be multiple blockchains based off specific use cases. But I often look at Web3 in the world you're talking about, like, Bitcoin and Ethereum and all this stuff is sort of an isolated world, an echo chamber or like an island, right? Oh, I'm buying this stuff, I'm trading it. But you know who doesn't care about it? Is the legacy. You don't see Apple creating a currency. You don't see Apple trading a currency or Coca-Cola or any of that. Maybe they're doing it behind the scenes, but they're focused on real world, right? I often say Apple does more in revenue every year than almost the entire cryptocurrency world combined. And
Wow.
so where we're focused is on how do we bring the value of decentralized systems and what blockchain provides to the legacy versus trying to get the legacy to come over and be like, mint these tokens, get involved in this world. So I fully respect why you have this sort of fever dream, if you will, around all this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm very elementary when it comes to this stuff, and there's probably no place. This is probably going to be a very impactful interview for you or podcast for you because my audience feels the same way. Most of us are just like they're confused on this issue. I have
Sure.
some friends that are like very versed at this subject, right? And they're the ones that told me to get you on the show, and I was like, really? Okay. And so I'm introducing you to my audience. That's probably, I would say, most of them. There's going to be a few that are like, not me. I know exactly what I'm doing, but there's going to
Yeah.
be most of them that are like, I don't know what the hell we're talking about here, and they want to know where to invest their money. Is this on an exchange and everything? Can you, or do you have to go to like a, how do I get involved with Constellation Network?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not profound. We go to our website, constellationnetwork.io. Top right corner, there's a thing that says get DAG, which is our currency that you can get a hold of, right?
What is it at right now?
I think we're sitting at like 5 cents, so it's cheap.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah. I
So
mean, and we've had some good days and bad days, but we're a stable token. I will say one of the things that's worked against us is we're not listed on a US based exchange. It's sort of a conspiracy that I'm not going to get too deep into, but we are listed on about 15 other exchanges. We have the ability where you can buy this token with a wallet, Apple Pay, rather easily. That said, just to answer your question about, how this is confusing, I think the best way your audience can look at it is that this is just a new world of stocks, right? What people should be looking at that takes pause, that when we look at the traditional stock world is, are these cryptocurrencies tied to some real world value that bolsters the true like foundational meaning of what that token represents, right? And that's where it gets a little shady. If it's just sort of a coin that's in the ether, that's not as interesting. I will take Ethereum and block Bitcoin off the table, but there's a lot of funny money that's flowing around in some of these cryptocurrencies where people can't really validate. And we live in a world where nobody trusts anything, right? And so that's why I feel like Constellation really stands out, is that we've been validated by the Department of Defense. We've been working with them for 6 years.
explain that. Explain
Yeah.
that. What do you mean validated by the Department of the DOD, and you've been working with them for 6 years? Says I see you guys have made in America in some of your material. What sets you apart from other blockchain or USA blockchains and hypergraphs? I'm trying to understand here.
Yeah, and I mean, hypergraph is just a language of our network. We're the only hypergraph network in the world. Not that that really matters to your audience, but what separates us was our focus on validating complex data types at scale for existing and emerging data sets. And I know it's a mouthful here, but when we think about how no one trusts anything right now, right? Like you look at a screen, somebody's saying you don't even know if it's a deep fake or what, but people
Right.
are just at low trust. And a big reason because of that is because you can alter data, right? Like, and so I often look at like a database. If you say you misspell your name and like I misspell Benjamin and I put two B's, I can go in and I can change that and update that database. With blockchain, it's called, an immutable ledger. It's like Medusa looking at the database and it turns it to stone. So if I fat finger my name with two B's, that will always live on the ledger forever, but I have to do a new entry. So if we're able to put data or have Medusa look at that data as close to the source of where it's created as possible, we now have a source of truth that gives people confidence in what they're consuming, whether it's AI algorithms and so forth. And so when we looked at like the go to market back in 2017, it was tough, right? The enterprise didn't want blockchain. They were saying it's too expensive, it's cumbersome, it's hard on the environment because Bitcoin's not easy on the environment and so forth. So we reached out to the DOD and we wrote a contract proposal saying, hey, US Transcom as an example, which is our customer, you guys are the largest data creator in the world, arguably. It's where all data for mission control comes in for the entire government. We said, well, what if you were able to put your data on a blockchain at the source so that you know that it's not being spoofed, corrupted, changed, or altered in any way while you're communicating not only internally with your three-letter agencies, but your external contracting partners, which is more important because it's a very porous, scary environment when you start doing that. And so, yeah, I'm going to pause for a second. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I have some questions here
Yeah, let's go, baby.
that my friend wants me to ask you. So I'm going to ask from my friend here,
Sure.
who's a lot more versed on this shit than I am. So I'm gonna ask these questions from him. which I promised I would. So my audience can see our monetary system seems to be on its last breath. Is there a way you can give you guys can bring transparency and a level playing field to if we have a reset?
Yeah, I mean, so I do think that I align with that our financial situation is in dire straits.
Shambles.
Shambles. I mean, it really is painful to
And
look
there's a
at.
lot of rumors out there, נסארה, 𝗓𝗏, this.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I'm hearing everything.
Yep.
And everyone's
Quantum
at XRP,
reset, like,
gold, and
yeah,
silver. I'm like, shit, you
what's
know?
happening?
Well, yeah, I mean,
So it's a hard yes, buddy. Like, so these technologies have been in place for a while. I mean, I feel like the ability to trace transparency and efficiency of audit trails has been around with blockchain for at least the last decade. So yes, we are being asked by the DOD, can you track some of these extremely important assets? And I'm not going to go into details because I can't, to put them on a blockchain so that we have that real-time visibility. Looking at it, showing this is what it says it is. It didn't get changed by a contractor. It wasn't conflated. We all know about $2,500, toilet seats, right? What did it cost at the source? Oh, it was $6. We now at the source have that data that shows it was what it says it was at scale. And so I believe that whether it's 𝗓𝗏, what all these things, a quantum reset.
XRP, everyone's on XRP, man. Everyone is on me about XRP.
Sure, because they've had a marketing power and a budget since the beginning. They got in very early. They have billions in ecosystem or market cap in their ecosystem. And so they have a lot of marketing flex to be very loud. As you mentioned before we jumped, not a lot of people know about Constellation. We're sort of this diamond in the rough and it's largely because we've been heads down focused on building. I will say we are arguably the most awarded federal blockchain contractor in the nation, which we're very proud of. But like you said, nobody knows about it, right?
When did you guys start this?
We started contracting. Well, we started the company in 2017, and we started contracting with the federal government in 2019, March.
Where are you guys based out of? Like, what state are you guys out of?
We're incorporated in San Francisco, but we're decentralized. So our team's pretty much spread all over the world. But we are an American-based blockchain. Like, that was one thing we came out very strong. We want America to win. We believe this technology should be at the forefront. We're 5 years behind Russia. More importantly, we're 5 years behind China. They've had this stuff in production. I've said it to generals. I'm guessing you guys can't get into their stuff, but they have no problem getting into ours. And it's because they have a very focused practice around distributed immutable technology known as blockchain. So we need to quit, dragging our knuckles. But I will say, the reason why we haven't seen this stuff come to fruition is because we live in a corrupt world. I walk into these different groups. The last thing they want is the guy that's like, oh, we can help you pass an audit. They're like, well, we don't want to do that. We're much rather work in the gray,
Right. Yeah, it
but
makes
now
sense.
with this new administration coming in, they're forcing the hand. And we've seen a complete shift in the last 4 to 5 months. It's insane. It went from, no, we don't want it, we're curious, and now it's ASAP because they've got, some pressures on the high coming down.
So Constellation is showing a DEX, decentralized exchange, coming Q1. I don't even know what that means. Is that still in the works?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. That means Q1. That means within the first 3 months. And that's sort of accurate because it's just going to come out directly after. It's going to be in April. This is going to get a little bit complicated, but I'll make it as simple as possible. All blockchains revolve around nodes, right? And just to educate your audience, I often talk about it as like a flock of birds. Centralized systems are like dragons. You feed them a bunch of data, they get fat, malnourished. And that's why Slack was down yesterday, because it's a centralized company, right? If you can hunt a dragon, throw an exploit, you can take the whole system down. But if you break that up into a flock of birds known as nodes, you now have small representations of the whole doing small pieces of the larger compute. And so if you try to hunt down some flock of birds, you could throw a spear and take 2 or 3 of them out, but you can't take the whole thing out. And that's what creates that resiliency of a blockchain. And so if you want to add more data, you just horizontally add more birds to your flock. And so the reason I'm bringing up that sort of metaphor here is that people can invest their cryptocurrency, ours is DAG, in staking that against these nodes, and they get rewarded by them validating data on behalf of different projects. So if somebody's like, wow, I really like the work you're doing with Panasonic. I want to take some of my cryptocurrency and I want to put it against their nodes and receive a rewards as their company does better on their blockchain.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a different way of
Yeah,
looking.
that's yeah. Okay. I'm picking up what you're laying down. All right.
Nice, nice. It's clicking, right? And so,
Yeah, it's
so our
clicky.
DEX is a way for people to eventually tokenize these assets, these data sets, and allow people to swap cryptocurrencies freely, but they're all based off of the data and performance of the blockchain networks within our ecosystem.
Yeah, wow. Okay. So is that something companies could get a metagraph on and how their stock would trade? Can they get a metagraph on this?
This is
Like
exactly
someone with Delta Air Miles or Delta Rock Swap or Marriott Rewards or stock?
so. A good way of looking at it is if they tokenize those attributes of their business, absolutely, this is what they would do. So yes, they would build a blockchain network. For example, some of the stuff we're doing with Panasonic is around our first responders out there. So fire trucks, ambulance, police vehicles, to have source data that proves that things are doing what they say they are. We've got 𝗵𝗍𝗄 in the cabins that's looking at these sensors
Yeah.
saying,
So this
um,
is like complete transparency.
this is complete transparency from the source, which we think data is bottled in tension. And if we're able to say, this is exact, I believe, my friend, that we're going to live in a future where there'll be a QR code on live newscasts that people can scan. It'll be like, yep, lat long, time of day. This is not a deep fake. This is actually what it's.
Wow.
That's the
I see
future,
that.
right? Like
Yeah,
right
it
now, we
has to
take
come. It
their
has to.
word.
You're gonna have to battle the AI in some way, shape, or form, and that's the way you would do it. You're right.
Yep. And so it's rather AI proof because once you have 𝗵𝗍𝗄 at the source, come hell and high water, you can't change it. And so that's why it's so important. That's why folks, there
So
may
this
be a
could beat
different.
artificial intelligence, man.
I think it's more of like it works alongside of it, but it keeps artificial intelligence honest. And that's
Honest.
we,
Yep.
yep. We have a saying, honest data for a connected future, because think about it. Right now, if somebody slaps something into Chat GPT, they just trust it. You're like, oh, cool. They have no
Yeah.
way of looking at the math of knowing where it came from. Who's the source? Have you validated this source?
And how to battle fake news.
Yep. How do you battle, deep fakes, right? I just saw
Yeah.
Tom Hanks do a commercial and it wasn't him, right? And so what can I do to have that extra? So what we're really producing is a check mark guarantee on the other side that folks can see and have that confidence, much like in the late 90s when they would shop on e-commerce, they would see the lock and they'd be like, okay, I can trust this. And if they click on it, they can see there's a gateway and SSL and all that. But we believe that a smart check mark will allow people to click on this output and see that, yep, it is what it says it is, and I can trust it,
Like
or
our
I
own
can.
your own fact checkers.
That's it. But we're not biased because we don't care.
Right.
We're just telling you
You just want to
exactly
make
what.
sure it comes from the original source.
That's it. Like, yeah, we don't even touch the data. We can't touch the data because 𝗵𝗍𝗄 got in the mix.
So the US Treasury has a wallet with you as well, correct?
Well, so there's a little bit of an asterisk with that, but yes, we're part of a group called the National DigiFoundry. It's sort of a mouthful, but digifoundry.org for folks that want to check it out. It's a really great consortia that is, it's a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, but mouthful term there, but it's a cross section between federal government and industry looking for best practices of digital assets and blockchain deployments. And groups like NASA, Space Force, US Treasury, I mean, private companies like Microsoft, IBM, there's a ton of really great people in it. We built the foundational network that allows people to trade cryptocurrency that they minted on behalf of this consortia to use for voting on working groups, funding working groups, getting access to education, governance, and so forth. So they have their own cryptocurrency. So everybody that's a part of it, including the US Treasury, State Department, the National Science Foundation, they all have our Stargazer wallet and they're using our currency.
Wow. All right. I got some more questions for you.
Yeah, yeah.
All this Fort Knox talk has my audience believing we need an audit, and we will get one from Doge. Is there a way we can use your platform to go back to constitutional money, say gold, silver coins in state vaults tied to the DAG hypergraph?
So it's funny you
These are good
mentioned this because
questions. These are pretty good questions.
yeah, these are great questions, right? So it's funny you mentioned this because one of the crazy upticks we've seen in the last 2 years is the onslaught of mines that are looking for blockchain technology, because nothing is closer to the source when it comes to these precious metals like Fort Knox gold than the
Right.
mining operations, right?
Which I heard has been cleaned out, but that's another story. That's another podcast. But all right, let's.
Yeah, and I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot of them, right? Some of them are in
Yeah.
shambles, others are
Right.
emerging. There's a whole bunch in between, and some of these are worth, upwards of tens of billions of dollars in assets a year. The problem is that when you tokenize those assets, nobody trusts it. This goes back to that check mark telling you, yo, is this what you think it is? Like, we have real-time visibility. 𝗵𝗍𝗻's at the source, at those mining sensors saying, yep, this is the amount that's there. Here's the purity. Here's the time of day. All these things that on the other side, when we get into the trading, exchanging, and whatnot of these assets, we have that validity and we can tell, yep, it is what it says it is. Right now, even with the government, America, banks, everything has to take their word for it, because nobody can go and sniff out if the Fort Knox gold is real or not. Is there tungstenite in there or
Right.
not?
Right. Right.
And that's really, I want to say, is the crux of all of this, my friend, is that trust is eroding in real time in front of our face. And if we don't have a technology or at least some form of a solution that's giving us that source of truth, it's going to turn into an anarchist world rather quickly, in my opinion.
All right. So here's another one. Iron Spider seems to be
Yeah.
a big project your team is working on. Can you tell my audience what this is and how it could help? Iron Spider. Never even heard of it.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny name, right? And it's an acronym because the government, man, they turn everything into acronyms, right? And so IRON is just iron, and SPIDER stands for Secure Peer-to-Peer Interoperable Data Resilience. And so it's a mouthful. But if you think about what Bitcoin did around a peer-to-peer finance trade, secure peer-to-peer decentralized finance, it's anonymous. No one needs to know who I am. No one needs to know who you are. We can securely exchange cryptocurrency. We basically have done the same with data. We can peer-to-peer exchange it, whether it's machine to machine, person to person, entity, system to system. And we do it securely in a way that has provable guarantees that that data has not been spoofed, altered, or changed. Some of the work we've done with the FAA is around GPS spoofing data. It's become a huge problem, my friend. Last year, there was an uptick in 63%, or maybe it was 69% of attacks on GPS, forcing them to go to analog systems. That's regressive. That's not progressive, right? So
Right.
therefore, what if we put GPS data, 𝗵𝗍𝗻 that stuff right at the source? We now have proof of movement that this has not been altered. They can make quick decision in contested environments, and knowing that adversaries are not spoofing or
Are
messing
you
up.
guys like work? I mean, you guys should be working like with Space Force. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, so we do stuff with Space Force as well. We're really involved in many different three-letter agencies. Space Force, a lot of stuff around space
and you're
manufacturing.
and you're. I don't mean to insult you, but it's like you're unheard of to me. I didn't know you guys existed until about a few weeks ago,
Trust,
and now I'm
trust me,
learning.
my
And now
friend.
I'm learning what I'm learning right now is unbelievable.
This is why I jump up anytime somebody's like, "Hey, do you know who these guys are at Nino's Corner?" I was like, "No, but I'll get on a
Hell
podcast,
yeah,
share my
yeah,
stuff." Right? That's
yeah,
where
dude.
we're
I
really
mean,
struggling, is trying to get our name out there, because I'm just going to call a spade a spade. There's some heavy hitters at the top that have a lot of money that don't want us poking our head into their world.
yeah, but I mean, the cream of the crop rises to the top. Everything you're telling me, it's undeniable.
Slow and steady wins the race, is what I always say, buddy. So we've never missed a milestone, a task order, deliverable on behalf of the DOD in 6 years of working with them. We are
Wow.
awesome.
So quantum
According to me.
technology. What's that?
What according to me, we're awesome.
No, this sounds awesome. Quantum technology, is this a threat or are blockchains quantum proof? Is this a threat to the Constellation Network?
No,
I
it's
mean,
I
you
mean
kind
it's
of already explained that.
I would say quantum is just a threat to society in many ways, but in a lot of other ways, it's sort of a nothing burger, because there's ways for us to get ahead of this. And a lot of technologies within the government have gotten ahead of it. It's one of the major requirements we have, is to be quantum ready. Does that mean that every aspect of our ecosystem is quantum ready? No. There's going to be certain things that are going to have to see some serious funding and up leveling, such as wallets and whatnot. Like, there's a lot of applications that heavily rely on existing internet that is pretty frail. And so how do we bolster those? But yeah, I mean, when we start thinking about quantum proof and AI protection and AI readiness, blockchain is the hand to fit the glove. I just can't see how these things are going to not go hand in hand as we see this emergence of these new technologies.
So right now people can get in for 5 cents. You said that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 cents, you know.
I mean, this where do you project this going in the next, few months, years? What do you anticipate here?
Well, I mean, it's the cardinal sin for many reasons for me to talk about any token action. We have rules around that for obvious reasons. We'll get our hands slapped, so I can't talk any speculation around our token. That said, the future's really bright for us, right? Like we've been spending the last few weeks on the Hill. I was with Congress and senators over the last few weeks, meeting with all of these constituents, talking about our solution. Jorgensen, our CEO, was with 𝗬𝗃𝗃, which is one of the head lead guys of the new crypto revolution. So we're in bed with the right people. This stuff is all about just putting one foot in front of the other and doing our best to make sure that we stay consistent. But we have to be patient, right? I think a lot of people have gotten drunk on these quick crypto returns and have abandoned the real world folks that are trying to focus on the legacy because they can make a 20% ROI on a meme coin in 24 hours, but they're not emotionally invested in it. What I would like to see is people say, do we want America to be more transparent, safer, more resilient? That's why I'm getting involved with Constellation, is because I believe in what they're doing, not that I'm just trying to make a quick buck over the next quarter.
Is it pretty consumer friendly to go to the site and buy the crypto?
I mean, nothing in Web3 is consumer easy. I mean, anybody that's used outside of like Coinbase and some of these exchanges that are centralized, right?
It's Constellation Network, right?
ConstellationNetwork.io.
Constellation Network blockchain, America's trusted blockchain.
That's it. That's us.
All right, I'm going to show it here for my audience because this is pretty phenomenal. If you can just walk me through this real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so show me what I'm looking at here. I hope I got the right site.
And we're about to relaunch our website here in about 1 month's time. So it's of course cringy for me to look at certain things, but
all right, first things first, I got the right website, right?
Yep, you're there, baby.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. So we sort of have that pick your path, which we're refining on our next stuff, but we're an open source technology that any developer can build their own blockchain solution on our network today, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
That said, we have a heavy focus on enterprise and federal, and so that's why we have that pick your own path there. And we're really going to kind of start to push away from the developer language and focus more on the solution stuff here in the next month. That said, if you look at the top right-hand corner, there's Get DAG. And DAG stands, and this is going to be a little nerdy, but it stands for Directed Acyclic Graph. That's our architecture, which allows us to be a big data fast blockchain. And so if anybody clicks on Get DAG up in that right-hand corner.
Where's Get DAG? I don't see it.
Right-hand corner.
Right hand. Oh, no wonder the picture's in the way. All right, there it is. Bing. All right, Get DAG.
Yep. And so you can buy it directly from our wallet. I think iOS may be touch and go just because they have some issues with that. But if not, if you scroll down,
so this isn't on like other apps. This is not on other exchange apps. I have to go to Stargazer app.
You can buy the cryptocurrency on exchanges. So we have 15 exchanges and you can hold it in an exchange. But if you want it to be off an exchange, because as we all know, centralized exchanges get hacked. And so anybody that has a lot of cryptocurrency on any exchange is probably not doing the right thing. So we suggest people, even if they do buy it on a centralized exchange, that they install our wallet and they securely store it there. And it's called Stargazer. And you can get it either on iOS, Android, or a Chrome extension.
Okay, so Stargazer is what people should download and buy it from there?
Yep. And when we launch the DEX coming up here, they'll be able to stake their DAG once they have it against projects all within the app. It's going to be very easy to do so that they can earn rewards and put it to work. So it's pretty slick, right? And so if you scroll down,
this is it. I mean, this is the step-by-step process, folks.
Yeah, this is it. I apologize that it's not always the easiest because this stuff is, funky, meaning sometimes people go to use their credit card to buy on like our partner C14 and their credit card company maybe have rules against this stuff. And so that, I have some friends that use credit unions and they try to attach their bank to Coinbase and it doesn't work. And I feel bad for them, but it's just the state of the industry. But I'll tell you this, buddy, I feel like once regulation and guardrails come this year, and they're coming, it's going to be a whole new world. There's going to be a whole bunch that's going to be released much like we've seen with marijuana and banking, right? Like it's a whole
Right.
mess. They don't want to touch it because of the federal rules. But if the federal rules were to finally get into place and those bans would go off, every bank in the world would get involved in
No
marijuana. You
kidding.
know?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so yeah, it's I'm not trying to make
So
excuses.
this is so they should go to this site and download this Stargazer and buy it on Stargazer, and that's how you get up and running.
That's how you get up and running, baby. Yep.
I mean, I know enough to do that. Okay, so there you are. All right, folks.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
what you have to do. This is something that I'm interested in. There's no doubt that I'm going to be doing this. So
sweet. Yeah, man. If you set up your Stargazer wallet, send me your DAG address. I'll send you some some cryptocurrency.
that's a deal.
Let's do it. You know, I always try to kick a little bit back to people helping me out, get the word out there, you know. So
Yeah, no, this is impressive, man. So I'm gonna put this up today. I'll get this up today on YouTube, and I just got to think of a good title for it. So here we go, Benjamin. I appreciate you coming on, Benjamin Diggles, folks. No, he's not an adult film star.
not anymore.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, David. It's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate your candor and excitement.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, you schooled me, dude, and that's what I needed. I'd love to learn about this stuff because I know this is the future. This is where it's going. We're in it now. And man, to me, this is almost like the way to keep artificial intelligence on check, keep it honest. I mean, it's the next logical step in all this, man. So people want to be, it's like a safe house, right?
Right. Yeah. Just like,
Yeah.
I just feel like people have been taking, I'll leave you on this. After having been in data most of my career, I came from Oracle. I've seen how the sausage is made with these systems. I'm not on any social media because I don't trust it. I know what's going on. I just feel like people have been taken advantage of, and blockchain gives us a chance to restore order back to the people where we didn't even get into medical data. We didn't even get into personal data that people can own and they can
You
use
want to talk about that a little bit?
well, yeah, I'll just touch on it real quick, right? Like right now, medical data is a great example because everybody gets it. Right now, David has over 300 different copies of your medical data living in different systems. But guess who doesn't have it? David. You don't have it, right?
Right.
Furthermore, it's being used without you knowing in third party, and it's worth a ton of dough. But imagine if you had control over it in a wallet, and as you went to a doctor, you gave them access to it. Or take it a step further. What if you had your DNA tested and you found out you had a predisposition to something from your family, and you can offer that data up to a study and start making passive income off of that data directly using, your DNA makeup. And then the day you don't want them to do it anymore, you can claw it back and turn it off because you own it. And I will say one last example. Right now, like streaming services, the only thing Spotify has that edges everybody out, because they all use the same music, is their user experience and the algorithm. Why David doesn't give his password out to other people? Because you don't want mariachi music coming in next time you open it up. You want to protect your algorithm. You're basically training their data system that's your data. That should live inside of a wallet. And then when you plug into like Spotify or Tidal or whatever, Pandora, you grant access to your algorithm that you've trained, and they feed off of that, and you make micro payments for the time that you're listening versus a subscription cost. That's going to be the future, in my opinion, is micro payments for microservices that you can then take that crypto and put into micro investments like the delegated staking that we talked about. I've always believed if we change the pipes and we change the currency and we fractionalize those, we now have a whole new world of use cases that protect the individual at the source.
It's just incredible to watch this develop and evolve, dude. I'm just blown away by it. I'm like a dinosaur and I'm trying to like evolve with it. It's like I'm pre-internet, dude. Like I'm like that old. Like it's crazy to even think about. Like here we are talking about all this, and I have my own podcast. I'm talking about this, and I'm like blown away. But man, Benjamin, I you helped me understand a lot. Is there anything else you want to get out there?
No, I mean that's it, buddy. I really appreciate you. I want America to win. I think there's never been a better time for us to come together. Blockchain is a team sport. We don't think that there's one blockchain to rule them all. This will be a process, but the future is bright for humans, my friend.
There you go, folks. Benjamin Diggles. Thank you so much. Get to the website, get started. Thank you, Benjamin.